The first one was set off in New Mexico. Then there were 2 in Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They were efficient killing weapons. They each, maybe killed 100,000 people at once, if you can imagine. During World War II, we would send 500 bombers. They might each drop 1 or 2 bombs. Compare that with 1 bomb dropped by 1 airplane, releasing as much energy as 15,000 TNT pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're getting into, that's why they use nuclear energy. Well, then there's nuclear fusion. That's the next step. Now, fusion is something that's the most important source of energy in all our lives. We tend to forget that, but the sun up there is not a mass of burning gas. No Arabs up there. The sun is a fusion factory. That's the nuclear process.
Isn't that where we need to go in the future? To
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And you can see why when I give you the next number, which is the first fusion device. They call them H-bombs for hydrogen. But the first fusion device, which involves putting hydrogen isotopes together and, again, converting a little mass to an awful lot of energy. The first fusion device produced 1952, so it was only 7 years after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It produced as much energy as exploding 10 million tons of TNT.
Yeah, megatons.
The fireball was 3 miles wide. Okay, so you're beginning to understand that little chemical processes produce a few electron volts per reaction. You light a match, stuff like that, engines, cars, a few electron volts. When you get to fusion, you're talking 10 million electron volts per reaction. So it's a whole new ballgame. In other words, it's not just a little better. It's a one heck of a lot better. And that wasn't the biggest one, incidentally. The Russians, a few years later, set off a bomb that produced as much energy as 57 million tons of TNT. You drop that in the middle of New Jersey, you'd start fires from New York to Philadelphia. Having lived in New Jersey, some people would say that's not a bad idea. But the point is, we're way out of normal, standard, usual, the kind of things that we're accustomed to dealing with. And it was realized quite quickly at the end of the war that there would be other uses for nuclear fission besides the explosions. I mean, okay, yeah, you do need bombs, and the war ended awfully quickly after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mm-hmm. It was estimated that 1 million people would die if we had to invade Japan. So it wasn't, the decision by President Truman wasn't taken lightly at all. Now, here's the kicker, though. What other things can you do? Well, some bright guy said, gee, if I could build a reactor and put it in a submarine. At that time, a submarine was a surface ship that could stay underwater for maybe a day.
It needed air.
It needed air.
Yeah, it needed air for combustion.
Down there.
Yeah, right.
So if you could have a reactor to produce the energy, you could use the reactor to produce steam, and it would drive the propeller, the screw that moves the submarine forward. We have built, the first nuclear submarine was successfully operated in 1956. Admiral Rickover was in charge of the program. He's one of my heroes. Because he said, that's where we're going, guys. When I get there, get off the ship. And
Stanton,
in 1956, the Nautilus was successful.
Stanton, let's talk about the Nautilus when we come back, and then let's get into how we can use fusion in our future.
Okay.
This is KWTO. This is Mark Wright, along with Vincent Finelli on USA Prepares. We'll be right back.
Please return to your seats. Class is now in session at usaprepares.com. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text 417-200-4715. And now, Vincent Finelli and Mark Wright.
And we're back on USA Prepares. I'm Mark Wright. I'm here with Vincent Finelli, the original survival economist, on KWTO 560 AM, the powerhouse of the Midwest. Vinny, we got to announce and remind our folks about August 5th. We have the USA Prepares VIP dinner with special guest Jim Bohannon, our very own.
Yeah, we do.
Jim Bohannon from KWTO Radio. He's going to be out there Thursday night, August 4th, broadcasting live, 9 to midnight.
Aren't we going to have dinner with him?
And then on Friday, he's going to have dinner with us.
And our guests are going to have dinner with him?
And our guest. And, we chose two winners yesterday, gave away 2 pairs of tickets. Today, we're giving away 2 more pairs of tickets, and I have drawn the names out of the hat. We have Chad Holland, who wins 2 tickets, and Lance Riffle wins 2 tickets. So congratulations to those guys. If you would like to be entered into the contest and be eligible for a couple of tickets for the dinner, you very simply do 2 things. 1, go to usaprepares.com and email us. And number 2, go to Facebook, the USA Prepares page, and hit like, and that will put you in the drawing for a couple of tickets for the VIP dinner out at the fairgrounds. So, Vinny, we got the meetup on Friday.
We do.
At Ziggy's, corner of Sunshine and Glenstone, 5:30 to 7:30. If you come to the meetup, Vinny, you get entered in again and get a chance to win some tickets there as well. So I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of people at the meetup this Friday.
Yes, and we have Len Pence, who's going to be talking about high-yield gardening. He's doing a seminar right at the meetup at Ziggy's. Sunshine and Glenstone.
Absolutely.
This Friday.
And Tara Suckman wanted us to announce on August 6th, we have the Constitutional Convention down in Branson, Missouri at the Andy Williams Theater. They're called The Making of America. Going to be a lot of great folks talking about the United States Constitution, teaching you about it. If you're interested in tickets, call 800-666-6094.
Thursday, we're going to be talking about how to buy gold and silver safely, class. How to buy gold and silver safely. That's tomorrow. And on Friday, Mark, will you do that great seminar that you do on how government works or doesn't work?
I think people would believe how it doesn't work. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Last time I did that, it caused a little consternation among the masses. So we'll do it right here on the radio. That ought to be interesting.
Yeah. Back to Stanton Friedman. Stanton, we were talking about 1956, Admiral Rickover, and the first nuclear submarine, because submarines needed air in order for their diesel engines to run, and they didn't need so much air with nuclear reactions.
Yep, they didn't need any. Wasn't that nice? And submarines can go around the world underwater. They take periscope leave when they go by Hawaii, is what one sailor told me. And that led to something else which is really quite extraordinary. Rickover pushed for the whole group of ships together to be nuclear, because one of the big advantages, destroyers, battleships, aircraft carriers are the big thing. They can operate full power, today's nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, for 18 years without refueling. Now think about that.
That's impressive.
Think of how much oil they're not using, and the flexibility for a Navy commander. Because it used to be, you could steam full power for a few days, and then you need more gas. And where are you going to get that in the middle of a war zone? So it gives you a handle on the kind of things we're talking about here. It's not just a little better. It's an enormous amount better. Now, in reactors, nuclear power reactors, there are over 400 of them operating in the world. Yes, we had a Chernobyl and a Fukushima. And, it's so easy to think, how terrible, what a disaster. We don't want to do that anymore. I got a gallon of gas in my garage that I use for the lawnmower. It could explode and burn down my house. It's dangerous, but we know how to contain it in the right kind of containers. We have certain rules. There were cities that banned gasoline sales when the cars started coming out because it was too dangerous.
Yeah, there's some ordinances in the cities that you can't have more than 2 gallons of gasoline in your own garage.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I am not going to say there is no possible danger to nuclear systems. Of course there is. My job as a radiation shielding expert was to protect people from radiation. Basically, that means you have to know how much radiation is being given off, how to provide shielding, what to do if somebody gets overexposed, and also to recognize that radiation is used for all kinds of very useful things. Like we used to talk about where you do exploratory surgery to find out what was going on inside somebody. Now, in most cases, you can inject the right kind of radioisotope. We have very sensitive instruments, and you can follow what it's doing in the body, and you can find out what's going on. It's like using x-rays. You can look inside without cutting you open. That has an enormous advantage. And strange as it may seem, many hospital supplies are sterilized with radiation. One of the more common radioisotopes is cobalt-60. If you get enough of it and you can use it right, it produces gamma rays, and you can sterilize through the packaging. So if you look around the hospital, you'll find that an awful lot of stuff is radiation sterilized. It's kind of nice not to have to worry about re-exposure. In other words, you sterilize it, then you got to package it, and then what happens, So radiation has all kinds of uses for finding out what's going on in the world,
including irradiating food to make it safer. Yeah. Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, I worked on a project about that, and it turns out you can stop spoilage in things like potatoes. The astronauts have used irradiated beef. You can keep it at room temperature, and it won't spoil. The idea is you kill the germs, the bacteria, the bad stuff, and you package it, and it'll stay around for a long time. It can extend the shelf life of everything from potatoes to onions to fish. Strawberries in South Africa, they've been doing this for years, and farmers like it because it extends your market. Instead of 2 days drive only, otherwise it'll spoil, you can extend that to 6 or 8. Chicken has poultry in general. Salmonella is a major problem that we all worry about. Certainly the food preparers and people who package your chickens and all that stuff. And if you irradiate the chicken, you can kill the salmonella and extend the shelf life. And
is that what we're doing
in a
right
world
now?
where people are starving, you don't want to throw away food because it's spoiled if you could have prevented it.
Is that what we're doing now in the United States?
Not much of it.
Okay.
There are all kinds of legal barriers, and some people don't want to take the risk. And it's that word radiation. You see, we got bad PR out there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's radioactive, it's bad. Well, the food that you irradiate isn't radioactive. Just like you're not radioactive when you come out of the doctor's office when you've had an x-ray. It goes through you, it does its thing, you see the film, but you're not radioactive.
Stanton, I think this is Mark. Obviously, there's a lot of positive benefits to radiation.
Yeah.
I think the issue here in Missouri is we have the New Madrid fault line, and there's multiple fault lines around the United States. Obviously, we have nuclear power reactors that are either on the fault line or very close. If we have a major earthquake, major catastrophe in the country, a la Fukushima, obviously that's going to be a major issue to the citizens of the country.
Well,
what's your response
is.
to that situation, that very real threat?
Well, the thing is, the big thing about Fukushima, and everybody forgets this, they blame it all on it's a reactor and it went bad, words to that effect. The real problem is the reactor did exactly what it was supposed to do when the earthquake came along. You can measure, as with measuring radiation, you can measure earthquakes. Mm-hmm. That's what seismographs are for. So it sensed an earthquake, it shut the reactor down. But then something really nasty happened, that little mass of water came along. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, the tsunami.
The tsunami. I'm sure almost everybody has seen that house floating 8 miles out, with somebody on it. I was aghast in watching that, and watching trucks and boats and cars and just being sloshed right on by. The water came in, and then when it went out, it carried everything with it. So the problem was much more, actually, what happened because of the tsunami, which got rid of fuel that would have been used for the after shutdown cooling, got rid of a lot of stuff. The roads, you couldn't move stuff around. It was a bad situation. So there's no question radiation was released. There was partial meltdowns of at least 3, maybe 4, of the reactors. Now, does that mean automatically everybody's going to die? No, it doesn't. The reactors are designed to be contained. The melted down stuff will stay there, give off damaging radiation. Now, the nice thing about radiation is you can detect it, so you can stay away from it. It's not like a poison gas that's you can't smell or anything, and you breathe it and you're dead. Radiation you can avoid, and you can provide